Welcome to another episode of Unpacking. So tonight we'll be delving into the topic of motivation. What keeps us going, what keeps us hurting towards our dreams and making ourselves better in all those regards. You know, Definitely stepping into that field tonight to get to know what you guys sentiments are with what allows you to not want to go across the street or up the road. If you don't understand that reference, there's no need to look it up. But for tonight, we'll be discussing how to get the ball rolling, mental coffee, goals, pipe dreams, and consistency. Of course, the point to note here on Unpacking are that what we say here are our opinions and not facts. There is no need to be running with it as if you heard it like gospel. But do take part in sharing your opinion too. And of course, before I start, I have to ask my lovely host how we're feeling about the topic of motivation tonight, guys.
Whenever so often I lack it. I think it's the same for a lot of other people. Sometimes motivation, you have to rely upon yourself to be self-motivated because the external forces that they seek to have you in a depressed state all day long, especially with COVID, It's impacts.
It's a very good point. How about you, Alex? How are you feeling about motivation?
I was about to say there is very much a lot of truth about that, especially, yes, in this time. There is a need to motivate yourself overall. It's just not coming, personally, I would say it's just not, coming at this point in time. There's not a lot of it going around. Normally, I'm a very driven, very motivated person, but I find myself nowadays listening to Bruno Mars a lot. Today I don't feel like doing anything. I really just want to stay in my bed.
Existential crisis stuff. So that's what they call that. But of course, love the feedback from that. Decent topics. But of course, before we jump in, the point that it's definitely opinions are not facts. So just taking what you can from this, and always remember, definitely sound off in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, Joshua just said that he these days he has to remain self-motivated. The first topic that we have here is how to get the ball rolling. Joshua, how is it that you motivate? How do you self-motivate? How do you try to self-motivate? What are some things that you do to motivate yourself?
An essential part of the day is devotionals. I find that it's much easier not to rely upon self, but a greater power to get you through the dreary days. And I have been looking at a little book, a diary of private prayers. It has 31 prayers, 31 days, morning and evening prayers. And there is a particular line that would have really stuck with me. And even though it's would have been from about the third day, I keep going back to it because it does get me in the right frame of mind to take on what lies ahead, because we really don't know what the day will bring. We can plan, I know people, especially those very successful people who plan out their lives, their days in 5-minute blocks. We can plan down to the second, but we really don't know how it's going to play out. So I try to start my mornings off with a sense of peace, quiet, connecting with my creator before heading out.
So essentially, through your own doctrine, you self-motivate.
I wouldn't say my own doctrine because it's all coming from the Bible, which would not have been written by me.
No, it's true. Or should I say your own faith? Your own faith. Your faith is what motivates you.
Yeah, and outside of that, of course,
your daughter.
Thank you very much. Driving
I
force.
think we have said that first.
Yeah, I would have said that first.
No.
But I mean, it's
she is she's second only to Christ, and my priorities are straight. It is Christ, then child. Alright? So no, she's not the first. And anytime that I realize that my life run amok whenever I get my priorities switched around. When I put her first or another female first or any person, or not even person but anything before my faith, it always seek to put me in a very messy situation that God has to end up rescuing me from.
As people in your faith say, with Christ in the vessel, you can smile at the storm.
Amen.
Okay. What about you, Alex? Well, how do you? Well, you said you essentially gotten really comfortable listening to the Lazy song by Bruno Mars. No, not wanting to do anything. And I think was it Joshua that mentioned about COVID-19 causing people to be demotivated, or was it you? I'm not entirely sure.
That was I.
Okay.
Not
Right?
really. That caused me to be this demotivated, really, but it's just the last few days have been, yeah, rough. So, it's just that time where you just decide, all right, what's my next move? Right now, I'm just not in the mood to move. Like, I really don't feel like doing anything, but I have so much on my plate to do at this point in time. There's just too much to do that I'm just stuck in this rut, which isn't a good thing as far as motivation goes at this point for me. I mean, the only thing I can channel motivation from is, well, one, this podcast, because really and truly seeing the views go up, it's a nice, perk to say, all right, I have something to look forward to every Monday. But at the same time, overall, I think I'll get out of this rut because seeking a little bit more, how should I say, I'm trying to put everything into perspective at this point in time so I can, move forward from out of this funk that I'm in.
Okay. I understand that. I mean, the podcast, of course, definitely does motivate me. But from my perspective with motivation, this is what I can speak on. One point I made in the Real ABC's episode before. If you guys have not caught that episode, you can click the link above to definitely go and give that a listen. Before I started in entrepreneurship, there was a back against the wall situation that I was in, and at that point in my time, at that point in my life, I had to think about, what is it that I really wanted to do? Was I just doing what I needed to do just to get by, or was I actually fulfilling a purpose? After me diving into what I now do every day, there was a time where I didn't know if it would actually work out. But what I found out from that is that remaining consistent in doing anything will always bring you from a greater, from some place that's bad to a greater good. For instance, if you're somebody who is overweight, right? And this is something I've proven at least 2 times in my life already. It doesn't matter where you are. If you just take something a little more so by a little more, so you'll definitely get to where you need to get to, as long as you remain consistent. People can have off days, like you're saying right now, Alex, about feeling kind of out of it. And yes, I do feel that way some days too. But I have to remember that it is just about trying your best to be consistent. Now, we have different things that motivate us. What motivates me is the fact that I want a better life for myself. I never liked the whole idea of having to wait for a paycheck every 2 weeks or every 1 week. I didn't like that because it made me only happy. The only way I could be happy was when I got paid. I didn't like the fact that my happiness was controlled by somebody else. So that the motivation of not wanting to be associated with that pushed me to actually want to achieve greater things. And I can definitely say it was definitely fulfilled through that. And from me getting the first lick of success that I got, for me to realize that I could do this, it motivated me even more. For instance, anyone who is a consistent listener of Unpacking would definitely realize since our inception of February 22nd, I believe, we have not missed a Monday. It isn't a case where it has been easy, because there's been many instances where we could have definitely missed a Monday, whether it was through upload, content, whatever the case was. It could have happened. but trying your best to remain consistent in that. Wherever we take unpacking, wherever it will go, I personally believe it will be successful. And I think when I do get to that day, I will be able to recognize that it was because we remained consistent in doing what we were doing as to what brought us to where we are now. As Alex just mentioned, being able to see the views go up. Of course, when we started, the first episode got, I think, around what, 70 something views. But to be able to see that, the previous episode to this and the one before that is starting to climb. And me seeing that, of course, I've been in that space before, where I see where you just put a little seed somewhere and you're watering it, you're working on it, it gets somewhere. And you being able to see that, it motivates you. One thing I've always told people is this: if you set goals that you know for a fact you can achieve, through seeing yourself achieve them will definitely allow you to do more. Just seeing yourself complete something. If you say for the day, okay, I want to wash some clothes, I want to clean the bathroom, I want to do whatever, try your best to ensure all those are done. So at least you can definitely prove to yourself that I can do whatever I said I was going to do. Definitely. Anybody here can agree with that? Or what I'm speaking about doesn't really sound like it makes a decent amount of sense to either of you.
What I would say to it is that it's a recommended and a proven life hack to write down your goals or the to-do list, your must-do list for the day.
Or a vision board. But it's the thing about that, and I might mean to cut you, Joshua, but the thing about that is this, right? I think, alright, most of the times when we put down our goals, we try to compare them against other people. We try to say, okay, whether or not we want to admit it, we try to say, okay, what is those other persons doing? Why am I not doing more? But I think most of the times we need to realize that you need to focus on yourself. You are in your lane. Focus on what you are doing. If you can only do this amount right now, that is all you can do right now. It doesn't matter what Jean-Paul beside you is doing. If he has the opportunities which you may not have to do what he's doing to be further, then, you give him a clap. But for you right now, you're moving at your own pace. Eventually, everybody will win. We just will not win at the same time, and that is okay. When it comes to writing down your goals, I would say write down the ones you know for a fact that can be achieved. For instance, many times on this show, you've spoken about debt, right? About, things that you're trying to work off right now. I am certain because of some of the goals you've set for yourself and some of the parameters, you're realizing where it is slowly going down. True or not so true?
Yeah, correct.
Right. So, what if you said you wanted to do it in a more lump sum way to make it finish faster? You may have not gotten to that goal, and by you not getting to that unrealistic goal, that will demotivate you. That will demotivate you. Just like the listeners can definitely probably chime in right now. Many people have given me feedback. Why not more than one episode a week? If you must know, it's very hard to edit this podcast, so I'd rather to state what I can definitely manage. When the time does come around where we can manage more, absolutely. But I do not want to disappoint myself and in turn lower my motivation. I find that my motivation every day because of what I do is like my heartbeat. And the minute it starts to go away, it's like I'm getting cardiac arrest. It's like I'm becoming lethargic, like I have no energy, and I don't like feeling that way. And sometimes when I do feel that way, I either chime back into something I'm doing or reach out to a colleague of mine that we're definitely working on the same project right now, and we'll bounce some ideas off each other. And before I know it, I feel right as rain again. It is not easy to remain self-motivated. It's not even easy to give motivation to other people because you're making some reference just now about recommendation. Life hack recommendation. I don't believe it would have made sense for me to be recommending persons to do things I have not yet done myself. For instance, you can't be recommending somebody to do the most when you're doing the least. That would make no sense. They would not see the need to be motivated by you. But one thing I definitely propagate is the fact that I do have the proof to show for what I do to be able to motivate other people. Absolutely. The other point we had here was mental coffee. Of course, what drives you? Now, Joshua said his faith drives him. And I know for a fact for a lot of people out there and people listening right now, the Bible does drive a lot of people's resilience, hope, and their faith as well. Whether it is the great Psalms or you could help me out here, Josh. What books are the Proverbs? Yeah, Proverbs and Psalms, and I believe Matthew. All the Gospels definitely give writers' brain approaches to remain motivated in life. Could you confirm this, Joshua? I'm not really a religious monk.
We know that you are a heathen. You're not incorrect. Well, from Genesis to Revelations, really.
Okay.
For every situation in life, you can find an answer between the pages of the good book. Now, how you interpret that is another story, and what you do with it is another story. Because many wars have started because of people's interpretation, the different
Or misinterpretation.
I would not necessarily call it a misinformation or misinterpretation, because until we get to the point where we see Christ,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we're all assuming. There are just some things that, based on our own social standing and ethics, morals, and norms, that don't sit right, but it doesn't necessarily make it right or wrong. So I am very careful, because sometimes the Bible is not very explicit in terms of what it is right out to say that this is wrong or this is right or this is where I'm telling you to go. So people spin that and they use that. We see many awards. Slavery was, Christianity was used to keep black people in slavery. Parts of the Bible that would have spoken to being equals and masters treating servants with respect and love, and servants honoring their masters. Those sections of the Bible would not have been taught nor been available to Negroes. And not only would it, even if it were available, they wouldn't have had the benefit, because majority of them could not read. And up to this day, they're still hiding things from the black race because we fail to read. And we can find motivation through the pages, the stories, the biographies of people who have been there, done that.
And I agree. I definitely agree. I think sometimes we say that we're stuck, but we have not really tried to. We have not really tried to liberate ourselves. We just think that we're stuck and that's it. And we pity ourselves and we wallow in that we're definitely stuck right now. We feel sorry for ourselves. But there's, through reading and through a certain level of dedication to topic of whatever you might be doing, can definitely motivate you. For instance, many people want to know about the stock market, whether it is local, international, or wherever else, even probably in outer space. They want to know more about the stock market. Now, it isn't a case where persons are not intelligent. They definitely are. But unless you read, like for instance, and of course, upcoming episode, a complete battle out on stock markets and how to better understand them. Right? Knowing about the stock market takes diligence, essentially. I cannot tell you exactly what to do. I can give you my method and you would learn from that. But of course, from my method on how I may display it to you with the results I have, that may motivate you, going back to what I said before. However, it is ultimately left up to you to educate yourself, just like Joshua said just now, to be able to know what to do next. You can't just be in self-pity and decide that, hey, you're stuck and nothing is going on for you and no one cares. At the end of the day, you have to be the one that cares for yourself, definitely. Now, of course, Alex was here talking about how, him seeing certain things can motivate him. He's kind of a bit silent right now. But I wanted to ask you, Alex, what would you say is your mental coffee?
My mental coffee?
What your mental coffee? What really, for instance, you made reference to, certain persons in your life before in previous podcast episodes about what they mean to you. But of course, all of us have a greater goal of where we want our life to go. Like, what is that ultimate goal right there? Like, maybe the career you may be in now is not your last step, it's not your final destination. And maybe there's a point to get to with that. What would you say is your mental coffee? What would you say keeps you going? What type of aspiration you think you'd have for yourself to keep you definitely going?
As we pointed out earlier, I think it's for me basically. I don't know much about other people, but for me, it's me. At this point in my life, really and truly, it is me that keeps me going. Because my motivation is basically just trying to outdo myself each and every time. So,
Okay.
as I've said before, I'm always the type of person who tries to get to a higher place. But recently, I've just been realizing, all right, when you get to a certain height, how do
Plateau?
you go past that? No, I don't.
Well,
That's just it. You look at it and you really think, all right, I'm plateauing at this point in time. But you see, my motivation right there is no, I'm at this point. I have a house, I have a car, I make enough money to satisfy myself. Everything is, so far you can say everything is going right. But somehow I'm just not satisfied.
then if you're not satisfied, like I was saying
Something is
before,
wrong.
no, I wouldn't say something is wrong. I think when you're not satisfied, it's like when you're in complete silence and your ears start to ring. The reason your ears start to ring because it's searching for sound. When you feel a bit inadequate or unfulfilled, it means you're still searching. People feel that way when they've achieved all they had on their vision board and everything, and they say, okay, what do I do next? There's always something else to do. If you
That
remember
is
the previous episode, the previous episode we spoke about being more than one thing. Despite the fact some people may want to be medical doctors, you don't have to only be a medical doctor. There's always something else to do. For instance, somebody would have achieved everything you just said. Is there nothing? Haven't you thought about philanthropy? How do you make the world a better place? Because trust me, Alex, there is work to be done. There will always be work to be done.
there's
Even
a
after
lot of
you've
work to
died,
be done in that
there's a
department.
lot of work to be done. There's in every department. There's a lot of work to be done. Whether you want to divulge into information technology, whether you want to divulge into farming, whether you want to divulge into government, there's always work to be done because you can always improve upon what is already there. Believe that. You'll never be at the pinnacle.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. It's more of a plateau at this point in time. I'm really looking to. This is why I said I'm taking like this time now to just relax and try to figure out what really is next. What's the next thing that I want to do? So
Well,
as you
what
guys,
I want the viewers to know, what I want the viewers to know, and I do hear where you're coming from as it relates to that, definitely. And many people can be in that existential crisis that I just mentioned before. But when you're laying back and allowing your thoughts to, bundle up to like what we call a volcano shoot, it is good to keep your mind active, looking into things that definitely would intrigue you. For instance, anything along the lines of what your career is or what your career was supposed to be or whatever your aspirations were, whether be dead or alive or seem like it couldn't work out, whatever it was. You try to divulge somewhat into that to keep your mind active. For instance, there are some persons who may love music but they can't seem to save their life. When they probably achieved all of whatever, they could look into
you
trying to learn the
probably aren't
piano.
seeing right now, but I'm trying. I'm like holding my hand up for that one. Can't sing to save my life.
No, well, even if so, and you don't have to necessarily be able to sing to be a good musician because musician is a singer. You understand? Is somebody who's good at music, essentially. Learning how to count notes. And I'm just giving an example. Not because you're stuck in a particular place doesn't mean you sit there and you wallow. Because when you wallow, the degradation of the mind is something easy to happen. I don't know why, but it happens. Whether it is not keeping sharp on your vocabulary or how you normally position things. There's many things that we learn when we're in school as toddlers that we may not so much remember now. When I think about the acronym LCM and HCF, I can know what they stand for, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really sure if I know how to use them anymore. And just for the persons listening, that is lowest common multiple or highest common factor.
I
But
think you still know how to use them.
I probably
but
still
it's just
okay. What I'm saying is that it doesn't
where
come
will you
to
use
me like that. Exactly, it doesn't come to me
Yeah.
like that. But I'm just saying, if you're keeping abreast of those things, because sometimes you watch TV shows like Who is Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, they are like, this show must be easy. Come on, I mean, I'm a college student. This couldn't beat me. And then they say something, you're all like, wait, I didn't know that Y was sometimes a vowel. When was that a thing? But they've been saying that forever. It's just that it may have
Yeah.
vanished from your mind over a couple of years because you only know
Yeah,
five of them.
and sometimes why? I mean,
Yeah, but not everyone is told that, and that
sometimes
goes back
why
to a
part
point.
and it just goes over your head.
Yeah, but it still said, just like what Joshua was saying in the previous episode about some people may go overseas and become bright sparks. That's because some places will teach a certain level of what they think you should know, while other places extensively cover everything. And our controversies, what is international, we cover extensive stuff. They don't. No discrimination. It is just what is seen to be fact. Now, of course, we have here in life, we're just discussing our mental coffee and, what could drive us. What are some of you guys' goals? Like, where do you want your life to go? Where do you want your life to go?
Which brings me back
Josh,
to
want
what
to
I
chime
was
in?
saying a moment ago.
Mhm.
No, I'm saying bring me back to what I was saying a moment ago. The end goal, as I think I said this in previous episodes, I still have a passion for writing.
Okay.
The end goal is supposed to be one of the factors of becoming a successful writer. That's where for me, that's where it's supposed to be. I mean, yes, I do want to become a psychologist and have my private practice. However, it's still being a writer that's the real end goal for me. That's where I think I want to be at the end of the day.
Okay.
Psychology just falls in place with that for me.
I don't want to touch back on that point again when we're talking about the next point. I wanted to ask Josh, what are some of your goals in life? I think
If
I might
you guys don't know if you don't know my goals by now,
I was about to say, don't start with paying off your debt again.
Right.
That's not a goal.
you fellas need to go
That's
into
not a
remedial
goal,
class. Retarded. So
I mean,
it is my goal. It's my goal to be financially free, to stop living paycheck to paycheck, to not owe anyone a cent. Right? The Bible does say that the borrower is slave to the lender. I'm tired of being a slave, man. I need to emancipate myself, become
I think the
free
end
man.
goal for Joshua is when he gets his name to say Joshua P. Billionaire. End goal.
Nah, I don't necessarily want to be a billionaire. God be praised if I am a billionaire. But nah, my other goal that I am working on is to live out my calling. I think that I'm wasting time, wasting my life actually, running away from what it is that I ought to be doing, which is to serve marginalized people, to look after the spiritual well-being of my fellow men, to not just offer salvation but also soup, because you can't preach the love of Christ to a hungry man, tell him how good God is, but you can't take care or satisfy his physical needs. That just doesn't spell any sense, right? So to become a minister in the Salvation Army has always been my dream from a child, and I've been wasting time trying to.
I thought he was going for the Pope, but okay.
I don't think. No, I don't. Yeah, that wouldn't fit in
next to
right there.
impossible, I swear.
Yeah, you're exactly. That can't happen.
Meditation
A
of
man,
my
a man
sin.
can dream.
No,
I mean, you can dream, but these are
be
goals.
realistic, right? I'm
These
not
are
high.
goals, right?
I don't vape like you, right?
Right,
So,
you understand?
right.
I would
These are
love
his goals, No, but
here
these are his goals.
one
We did
day,
speak about, things that he can definitely achieve.
Bishop Joshua.
No.
I'm not
Archbishop
here.
is not
I'm
the
not
Pope,
here.
but
I'm not. You see,
Or
that's the thing.
Cardinal Joshua.
Listen, you fellas, not because you may have gone to a Catholic school or watch a couple shows that you see, the Catholic Church. Leave the Catholic people alone. stop mucking about
I'm not mocking them.
their titles and things. Leave them alone. I don't want to be Catholic. I went to a Catholic primary school. I dreaded saying, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed are you amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Over and over in the hot boiling sun, wondering.
Somehow him remembering all of that makes me happy.
Makes you happy.
Okay.
And it's strange that we didn't actually mention it. Now that I say that the Catholic Church in the Caribbean, not just in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean as a whole, has done much for school systems, especially at the at the secondary level. There's a number, both primary and secondary. Some of the notable colleges or institutions, Ryan, you have gone to one of them, are Catholic. What do they call them?
Jesuit, yep.
And as you see, they're actually making an impact in society. So I really think you should.
No, basically that it wasn't that case where I would think the Catholic,
but here the heathen
an impact.
Why you don't go to the Catholic Church? I belong to a church. You do not. And so I'm sure they will have you with open welcome arms. I will speak to the Saint Teresa and let the father know there that I have a friend.
Wait, stop.
Yes.
What did you just say?
With what? What exactly? I said a lot of things.
No, repeat the last.
Saint Teresa.
He wants me to come and find his house and burn it down.
Oh, yes, I forgot. Oh, that was not intentional. Sorry.
You see, he's really trying to demotivate me. It's not going to work, sir. Let's get back onto my motivation.
Well, that serves you right, and that is the Lord fighting my battles right there, because I did not thought of it. Saint Teresa is the school at my
I really hope that after this podcast has ended, you get smited.
Why would you want that?
So
he believes in his creator, so I don't think he's in any form of danger. But to tie into what Joshua said about the fact that he wants to be financially free and he wants to be able to live his dream. Because a lot of people would feel the way that he does about wanting to follow their true passion, but because of what they believe they may be doing. I can say this to you, Josh. I don't think it is a case where you're wasting time, as you said. Even though some people may not want to accept the feel of this statement, but everything does happen for a reason. Not saying you will never achieve that. Not saying you'll never achieve, but I think it's more like trust the process. I realize there are some things that will kind of seem as if it's not going the way you want it to, but somehow it does arrive at exactly where you should be. If your intention is to definitely become a minister in the Salvation Army, I believe as long as you're working towards it with that level of consistency, it can work. Yes, you'll have obstacles like, do I have enough money to be financially free to be able to do that? Because, of course, being a minister in the Salvation Army, you have to have a certain level of foundation to be able to hold that properly.
He has that dream, he has that motivation to get it done. And it's like, at this point, it's like a knot. When you have a knot in something and you're trying to unravel it, what he's doing is slowly unraveling that knot. He'll get there.
I'm just saying. I'm saying that. Of course, that's what I'm saying to him. That's what I'm saying to him. But when he says
I'm
wasting time, there are some people who will waste that because, of course, he said in many podcasts before that when people hear him, when they see him, they'll gravitate towards him. I want people to be aware of this. Be very careful of what you say, because sometimes you are the inspiration that other persons are looking up to, believe it or not. Whether you want to call yourself insignificant or whatever the case might want to be, you have to be careful of some of the things that you do say. Some people could think the most of what you're doing, and for you to say what you're doing may be wasting time. Not saying that they may not agree with what you said, but it is imperative for them to understand that, listen, You are to trust the process of what you're doing currently, because there is a reason why you're going through it. It may be opening your eyes to certain things. It may be allowing you to see what you need to see prior to you being given what your salvation is supposed to be. So I wouldn't say
And
anybody is wasting their time right now. The
yeah,
most thing I
I
would say is
that
that you're supposed to trying to keep yourself as much as you never lose sight of what that dream is, right? The fact that he's already working out how to be more financially free. I mean, to some people, being financially free is they will always say you can escape many things, but you can't escape taxes. But I think what he may have wanted to say was he wanted to be financially comfortable, because I don't really think there
there
will
are
come
two
a
things
time
in
where
life
you.
that are. I was
So
going to say
please,
there's
yeah,
two
sure.
things in life that are actually constant: death
Change.
and taxes.
Oh, I thought change was something you wanted to do. No,
I
I
mean,
don't have a
change is
problem
definitely
paying.
one of
I don't
them.
have a problem paying my taxes, and rich people do pay taxes, so they find ways and
Definitely.
means of,
To evade it,
to
don't know
evade.
why. I mean, you actually have the money to pay it, so why not pay it? But
Hey, 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 hey! Are you trying? What are you trying to do?
just saying what needs to be said.
Leave the people alone.
No, I mean it's rather
Yeah.
unfair, but we're not gonna segue into that. But yes, you were saying about not being fearful of paying your taxes. Yeah, you were saying that.
All right. This is so. My thing is, all right. So in terms of the whole thing of wasting time,
Mm-hmm.
I went to seminary when I was 18 years old. I left seminary when I was 19 back in May. I went in August. I came out in May. That's 9 months. So they gave birth to me.
Wow.
I did not stay the entire period for which I should have been there, which would have been 2 years to
Okay.
have completed it. So my life took a detour, and on that detour that I'm still on, I have been going further and further away from the path, and now realizing that I'm not finding any fulfillment. Whilst I do my job well, you teach me something, I grasp it very quickly, and I believe that excellence should be the signature, the stamp that we put on the work that we do. So I give it my all, but I don't feel any sort of fulfillment. I feel fulfillment in helping persons, sure, but at the end of the day, I don't like the work that I do. I love the function that I have in terms of keeping people connected, in terms of helping my fellow, batchmates and co-workers get better at their own handling of the interactions. But when it comes down to it, it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. It's
I
not
think even that just spoke to the knack of who you are as a person. You just like to be able to help people.
right.
That's basically it.
And talking about motivation,
Mm-hmm.
I'd share that my trainer had reached out to me and said, Joshua, there's a training position opening, and I think that you'd be a great person to fill it. And I was saying, boy, yes, I would jump at it, because I really think that it's something that I would be able to do and I would enjoy doing. But it did not work out. When they went to my manager, who doesn't know anything about me, he asked my supervisor, who, I don't know what conversation was had, but the long and short of it, they didn't. They said no. They said no to something that had they said yes to, I would have definitely gotten it, because all they needed was just my manager's approval. And when I thought of it, in the moment, I was really disappointed, because I wanted it, but then in retrospect, if I'd gotten it, it would have started to take me again. I would start to drift.
Right.
away.
And I am so glad you said that. I am so glad you said that, because for me, hold on, Alex. I'm so glad you said that, right? Because people need to hear this. He said something that people would believe you throw away an opportunity. Like, how could you say that? But he is saying that if I took that job, I would have been further and further and further away from what I really want to achieve. I've already notified I don't want to be doing this. So would I be trying to sink myself further into something I don't like? If I do that, if I continue to do that, that means I am now the one shooting myself in the foot. There's something that happened to me, I think, around 5 years ago. I will not call the company's name because I don't need to, right? But it's one of the worst call centers to ever exist in Jamaica.
I know
They
that
were
one.
known for doing many things. Exactly, they were known for doing many things, and in the end of it, I was laid off from that call center. I felt really terrible at first because I was saying, hey, how do I find another job? Where do I go from here? When I moved from there, because evidently I lost the job, I was no longer there. And moving from there, even I felt so bad, like hey, I would go back even there and see if I could beg to get my job back or whatever the case was. I did not do that, but I chose to move away from it. When I look back at it, because I didn't take time to allow the dust to settle, when I look back at that, if I had decided to go back to that place to work there even further, there are many things I would have never done. Because I would have been comfortable just being there and working that mediocre amount of money and being comfortable with just that and being stagnant. I believe only through proper challenges do you really see who you are and something you are to welcome them no matter how uncomfortable they are. So yes, you would have feel disappointed at first because hey, I could have gotten, and I think probably you're looking at it in the terms of hey, my salary will increase and I'll be able to help more people. But at the same time, overall, me completely propagating these people's work, I don't like doing this. So why would I want to force myself further into it? So maybe this is just God saying, hey, no, mm-mm. The further you keep doing this is the further you're pushing out yourself away from the path I want for you. So I don't think that I will approve this. And at first you're gonna be upset, you're gonna be like, why do you think I work up? But in time you will see why it happened. And I've definitely been learning that now. You will see why it happened. Everything does happen for a reason. Just in the moment of you don't want to accept it because it hurts.
Taking up into that, because I think a lot of our viewers might have gone through the same thing in their lives.
Many people go through that.
Question over to Josh. Yeah, but I'm just saying, throwing this over to Josh, because this happened to me as well. Throwing the question over to Josh. After that point where you realize that it's just one person that did not give the go ahead, that you did not get this opportunity to, help a lot of people. Because trust me, I think you would have helped a lot.
Yeah, you would have.
What motivated
in my estimation, it's kind of their loss, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, what motivated you to continue getting up and still going to work after?
Well, very, very good question. Especially given that the person doesn't actually know that I would have known. Cause,
right.
Yeah, and I had a session with them, sat down and spoke more about them than me. But as I always say, I rather to listen than to talk because you learn a lot from listening. When I'm required to speak, because you guys know I can talk a lot, I will talk. I don't mind listening. I'm not just listening to the words, but watching the reaction, the responses. So going back to work, I felt a little down, to be honest, because it was really before I would have given it much thought. I saw the person, and funny enough, I was sitting at my desk and he rolled over to me and said that there are 2 new positions that open up, and these are 2 positions. RTA, some real-time analyst, and there was something else, dialer manager, I believe, or dialer associate. These are 2 jobs that are not me. They could not be. They couldn't be any more different than the type of person that I am. You know what? RTAs, the workforce people, they're just coming to you.
Yeah, I know what time all this is.
Right, yeah. Sign to them to tell you that
why in this too long, why in that too long, promoted this too long. Stop your shift. Can I have this shift done? Whatever. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
They don't work with people. They're not.
They definitely really, don't.
They're not really.
They don't work people.
Facing they work people, right? They don't work with you. Right. They work you. They are the backer master on the horse. The Negro on the horse beating the other Negro on the cotton field. right? Yeah, and
Mm.
dial a manager that requires you to be tech savvy. Which, if you take a good look at me, come on, please.
Well, I mean, yes, okay, all right. So you see, I'm getting a mixed feeling from this, right? Whereas I do understand that this is not you and those type of things. I am, I am somebody who likes to take on a challenge, and I'm not
No,
endorsing you
it's
to go
not.
and
It's
try
not
that.
a
It's,
matter.
it's
No, no, no. It's not a matter of the challenge. It's a matter of just the day before you
okay,
were
right?
asked about
Yeah.
something that I most certainly would have been happy to and capable of doing. No questions asked. But I am of the opinion that one, if I were to have gotten said promotion, I would have been too close to you or above you. And so, of course, that poses a problem. A crab in a barrel mentality that I don't want you to, you can rise, but just not above me. Yeah? Now,
That
you're
person's
going
not a
to,
true leader, though, Joshua.
well, we know that even though you call the job description or the job title is team leader, it doesn't necessarily make you a leader. Uh,
Yeah.
have a lot of people who think themselves leaders are managers. You are managing the resources. You are not leading the people. You
I
see
remember one thing that was told to me when I was in that position. If you are not able to pull a random person from your team to be able to do your job at a glance, you're not doing your job at all. And the
yeah,
fact that somebody could have said to you that you are somebody budding and able to be liberated, I've always said this. If you see apples on a tree getting ripe, it is not wise to leave them. They will fall and spoil. It is good to take them off, to harvest them, to do something with them, then to mold them into something else. A pie, juice, or whatever else. But for you to leave it there makes you a terrible leader. I've always said that. So if he knew what he was doing and still decided to say, hey, you stay right there, let me be a crab right now, you're not a good leader. And that reflects poorly on him, to be honest. It
well,
does.
I smiled. I let him know that you know I'm thankful for the thought, but these two
It
positions
won't work for
are
me.
not. They're really not for me, and in me applying, it would be me wasting my time because
Yeah.
there are better suited persons who let's not give HR the added work, right?
Yeah.
Let's not waste anybody's time. Don't waste
And
mine.
let's
Don't
not give
waste.
me anything because you're sorry for me either. Don't be sorry for me and
Yeah,
give me
don't be
something.
no,
Yeah.
don't be
Like, don't do that.
hypocritical. Don't be.
Don't let's not do that.
Right.
Let's
So
not do that.
I made it known and I went on with my day because my job description nowhere in it says that I should pucker up and kiss anybody's ass. Nowhere in it says that I ought to be a hypocrite or two-faced, right? It says that I come and I retain business for the
Right.
clients for which I work. That is the job description and that is what I am being paid. And when I retain the business, I am compensated for it. So I just have to remind myself that this is not a personal thing. This is not
Right.
my business. I have been contracted to do a job, and it's my God-given responsibility to show up and do it because to do otherwise would be stealing, and I am trying not to be a thief.
That's right. He's not going to become a thief, guys. At all. He's not going to become a thief. He doesn't have to try. He's a good Samaritan. But of course, to go on to our next point here about pipe dreams. Now, before Alex was talking about wanting to pursue the field of psychiatry, that's what you said, psychology. I think it was psychology you had
Yeah.
mentioned about how you may want to be a writer versus a psychologist, right? You said the end
No,
goal
I'm
is to
just
have your
saying.
own. You think you were saying the end goal is to have your own, I think, a private practice. That's what you said, private practice, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I bring this up because I said we're gonna come back to it as it relates to pipe dreams, right? When we are setting our goals, there's something I told somebody recently at a seminar I went to. I was speaking there and I let the persons know this, right? When you set out your goals, there are some times where your mind is well aware that you're lying to yourself. And by that, what do I mean? Like if I say, hey, I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. I know damn well I have no intention of playing that guitar. I probably just like the way it looks. I probably like the way it sounds, but I'm not willing to put in the work to get it done. When we purchased that guitar and 5 years or so go by, we realize, hey, we still have not picked up that guitar. It's still on the wall. Your brain is not surprised, and neither are you, because you already know you had no intention of playing that guitar. I say that to say this, right? If you know within yourself that psychology may not really and truly be your passion for you to put all of your energy into, then that is something you need to let go and cross off your list. I could be wrong as it relates to you may actually want it, but that isn't something you have to prove to me based on the analogy I just gave to you. It is something you have to prove to yourself. There are some times where people will have the same guitar versus self instance, but what they have to do is outsmart their own mind. Sometimes your brain is used to what you normally do, and that is how it keeps on, giving the muscle memory to things that it thinks you might do. But the minute you outsmart it now realizes, hey, maybe I need that software upgrade because I don't think I know this guy anymore. If you guys are following what I'm saying to you, you may believe that, hey, you wanted to do something, and your brain is not known for you to be an industrious person. It's known for you to be lazy. So of course you're just doing this to make yourself feel comfortable. But the minute you decide to really push yourself into that and do it, you're starting to prove something to yourself, which really goes back to what I said before. Allowing yourself to see that you're able to complete something. Once you're able to see that done, it is what gives you the motivation to keep going. Because something you've done before, you can do it again. Understand?
So I want to add something to that. Very, very valid point, and it's important. The other day, because I haven't updated my blog in ages. It's a shame. Waste of money, not utilizing the resources.
Should we plug it in here? Maybe the listeners want to go check it out.
Check out stale news. But
doesn't matter.
On it, of course, that free life, freedom from debt,
right.
And, from addiction, being poor and poverty.
Oh.
The other day I was sitting at my desk, and the devil find work for idle hands, and we men, we have something that we can always play with. We discover it.
He's talking about a book, guys. A book with a tassel.
Okay. I was about to say what?
Alright, so I was there and I told myself, and I found that it worked. I am in control. I said, Joshua? And Joshua said, yes. I'm not mad. We are in control of our body. Yes? The body is not in control of me. Yeah? I can control my desires. And it is in the same way, we as people, we have become so accustomed to not being able to tell ourselves no. And that's one of the biggest problems. It's not that you are a yes man for everybody else, It's also that you are a yes man for yourself as well. You will tell yourself no for the things that can advance your life, but tell yourself yes to every guilty little pleasure that you want to inveigle yourself in.
That comes back down to discipline.
It does come down to discipline, and that's where I was going. That motivation does not always work. Discipline is what is needed. So motivation is fleeting. It is here in the morning. You get up and you say, have you ever gotten up in the morning and say, yeah man, that day I'm going to kill it. And before you step through the door, how many things happen? NWC decide that the water pressure is non-existent. Not coming out of the pipe. Now you have to go use wipe on the emollient to go to work, right? And by the time you go outside, you didn't have any water in the pipe, but water is falling from the sky. So now you're wondering, why is there no water in the pipe? And you forgot your umbrella. You're soaking wet getting to work, having to take public transportation. The day just mash up if you are not disciplined.
You know who's going back home.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, and I think that's exactly what he's talking about.
I'll go straight back at them yard.
Yeah.
But you have to exercise the discipline now to say that,
Right.
irrespective of what is going to
Of
happen,
what
unless
happened, we need to
something run me
persevere.
over
Yeah.
and kill me,
Yeah.
I am going
Yeah.
full speed ahead, like
Right.
Porsche.
I agree. I agree. I definitely agree with that. And I see it's so good that you mentioned that, that's because the last point we have here is consistency. Remain, like I said before earlier, being consistent doesn't have to be something that you push out, your extreme all every day, because we have to be realistic. You will not be 100% every day. We are humans, and as such we are emotional beings. We may be very up today and very low tomorrow. It happens. But you giving yourself a fighting chance to continue, like the analogy just used, about irrespective of all of what happened, you persevere anyway. That is what true consistency is. If you have the discipline to say, hey, I need to get this done, because of course, in the same scenario that you are in, Joshua, there were times where I remember, and I mean, I'm long gone from there now, they can't send me an email. I remember when you had Zik V ravaging the place and everything. And a mosquito did bite me. And I wake up one of the mornings with my eyes that's red as blood. Still on some sunglasses, because I never want those people send me home. I wanted to make that money, because it's paying you a little bit or nothing. You're trying to get the most out of it, and I don't want to be sent home. Because I had the discipline to never miss a day of work. No matter what the situation was, I always made myself down to that place. There was something else that happened that morning. Where, the thing with Zigbee, your feet start to go, where the muscle pains and the joint pains start to act up or whatever. And I remember having to throw myself out of a vehicle because I couldn't step over the seat, right? I technically couldn't walk. But I hopped down to the building. It kind of failed when I fell down the flight of steps, but even after falling down the flight of steps, I insisted I will be at work today. And I decided to climb on my hands and go up there and sit down in that seat and fake as if I was alright, just because I had the discipline to never miss a day of work. The motivation for that wasn't about me getting any more pay. I needed to see that a goal that I set out to do needed to continuously be done. And I was willing to do anything to carry it out. And that speaks from the discipline I have as a human. I know that it's not easy for anyone else to do, because of course many people have not done that. The minute they realize they're feeling sick, they're calling out. There's no way they're gonna go anywhere, because they're like, well, this place is not gonna save my life. Why the hell would I go down there and kill myself for these people? But it wasn't about them, which goes back to another episode we spoke about as it relates to ABCs. Sometimes you just like to do something. I'm not gonna say I loved it, but it kept my mind occupied with me thinking about other things I wanted to do. And as such, I was comfortably maintaining that consistency. But for the listeners to definitely take part in for their own life, remaining consistent isn't about the matching up to your friends or your colleagues or your other family members or whatever anyone else is doing. It is about you being in your own lane and just taking your own pace and going at that. It doesn't matter when you get to where you get to, as long as you persevere enough to get there. If your friend has gotten a car before you, please find it within yourself to cheer them on, because it wasn't easy for them to acquire that car. And another point to notice, not because you see someone else with something doesn't mean they got it necessarily the way you think. Many people are very unscrupulous in the way they will withhold information from their other colleagues or friends to create the illusion that, hey, I'm doing really well for myself.
Mike,
When
can I
really
jump
and
in?
truly that's not what's happening. Yeah, of course you can. Go ahead.
I have a car, and let's
Right.
just sit back.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh no.
I have a vehicle. The convenience is great, yeah.
Right.
But people who are walking are in a better position than I am. They have
Look
a
at that.
peace of mind. Yeah, I don't have
Right.
to worry about the financial burden that
Gas
it brings.
prices kind of burn
Have
up
you
right
seen
now.
the gas prices?
Let's not talk about it. I'm still depressed.
When you
Right.
can give a taxi man $100, I cannot
Or
walk up,
something
drive
that-
up to the pump and
Exactly.
give them $100.
And give them 100.
Listen, man, put that in for me.
Of course you
I'm
can.
just going
You
up
can
here.
walk up to the pump and give them $100, but wait till I bring you.
Nowhere.
Exactly. Where would it bring you?
Right to the exit of the gas off the pump. So it allows me to come off the pump, so the next person would be able to get their gas. Yeah,
And it is so good for you to mention these things because it's important that people understand to pick real goals that would benefit their life. In all honesty, I love to walk. I really do. I really love to be able to move myself around. The purpose of getting one even though it happened, I still did not see how it could have contrasted from that. Again, I may be talking garbage to some persons here, but it's how I feel really and truly about it. People, when they're thinking about buying cars, it's all about the baddest car they can get or how much it sparkles or catches the light of the sun. You don't think about insurance, parking space, gas. You don't, well,
eyes
well,
of
many
the
other
ladies.
well, yeah, that as well. Being able to come across as being more attractive because of course being a man when you do buy a car it does elevate your
Hey,
status. We
you
have
know
to be
what
honest
happened
about it.
the other day at work? I was told by one of my colleagues that I sit beside a lovely young lady. She makes me laugh so hard, and my laughter is atrocious. So I've been threatened that I will be documented for loud person. But that's fine. Is that she was telling me that, oh Joshua, you have a car, so you're not supposed to have any problems. And there is one of her friends. God spent a little extra time when he was shaping her out. Wonderfully shaped, wonderfully shaped. Right? Anyway, she was there, and have you read Songs of Solomon?
I think I
Let's
have,
not
yes.
talk about
Yes,
Solomon
I
right
Good.
now.
Let
We
me
already asked
Let me finish.
a question the other day
You see, you
about King
always
Solomon.
I'm going to drape up your shirt and thump you underneath your Adam's apple.
I
Continue.
asked just the other day about King Solomon, and what did you tell me?
Fair.
That was Old Testament.
Fair. Fine. Whatever. Allow me to finish. Right.
Yeah.
So, I was there, we were talking, we were there having a little bit of loose talking. God would not have been pleased. And she wasn't giving me any forward. And my friend that sits beside me whispered in her ear. And the next thing she asked me, said, Joshua, where you live? So I'm like, first you didn't give me any forward. I know you want to know where I live. So when she walked off, I was asking her friend to say, tell me what? She said I should tell her that I drive. And all of a sudden, this young lady who thought herself, better than my good looks, because of course I'm absolutely dashing. I don't know what's wrong with her eyes. Clearly, she's not looking good, I became instantly attractive because she looked in a chauffeur or a taxi man. Clearly, and I have neither. So it's very interesting that you say it, because of course a lot of people get vehicles not just because it's convenient or that it's a need. They get it so that they are able to advance a certain kind of lifestyle, being able to do things in their cars, because their cars now become their bedrooms, if you understand. You understand what
There's not much to understand from that.
Once you get what it is at the end. I know Alex totally understands. Because
but I think collectively what we can take from this is that your motivation is clearly left up to what your perspective and discipline is in life, because of how you may see certain things based on what you were just made mentioning to right there. The perspective of having a car or not having a car. But of course, definitely as always, on Unpacking, it's always a very decent conversation. We always delve into a lot of decent stuff. I hope our listeners really were able to sit with us and take some notes about what we're talking about from our own personal experiences or things to really make their life better. What I would love for the listeners to definitely take part in is that, listen, even if you feel that you're alone, sometimes your own company is all you need. I know that sounds highly selfish, but sometimes you need to be selfish in order to keep yourself motivated. External forces may always try their best to rock your boat and topple you off, based on all our many stories here we discussed here today. But it's always very good for you to take a look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm doing this for you, and I need to keep doing this for us to move further. Right? But of course, you can always check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can follow us there. All those information is in the description. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video on all media platforms. We'd really appreciate it. And please don't be shy in the comment section. Write whatever you want. Send anything to anybody you may want to, even if it is something rude. Not necessarily that, but just leave whatever you want to leave there. We'll definitely respond to it and get it more in touch with you guys. And if you have any topic for any further videos, anything you want us to discuss here on Unpacking, feel free to leave it in the comment section. We'll definitely take a look at it, and probably, given how we're running out of topics here, might just take you up on your offer. But of course, from us here in the studio, from me, Ryan, Josh, and Alex, thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of your night.
Adios.